Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Romenkov. I'm a ruling reality coach, and I would like to continue my series Daily Reality with Alex. Today is 12th of May, 2023, and we are entering very interesting times during the 2023 and all of the coming years. And I would like to speak about the reality of vulnerability. It is very important, according to me, for all of us to know exactly what is our positioning as a human beings and to understand why in the actual physical materiality, it looks like that we are a very vulnerable type of beings. First of all, we are type of beings which are constantly connected to the wholeness by the needs. The moment through the birth process, when we are going out of the womb of the mother, and we have the cord that is connecting us to the mother, and the moment this cord is disconnected, we are coming to the conclusion that we are disconnected from everything just because we have been disconnected from the mother. But it is very important to understand that if the mother was the one that was supplying all the needs of the human being before the birth, who is supplying the human needs after the birth? And is there a possibility where it is possible the human being to exist without any needs, without any external support? Because this is where the vulnerability lies in. Are we able to acknowledge that we are vulnerable beings that are in a necessity of an outside support? Because there are a lot of new movements where the empowerment of the human being is in the center. And if we come into the delusion that we are self-sufficient, that we are self-sustained, we are going to miss the big mark. And the big mark is that we are not beings that are to be powerful, that are to be omnipresent, beings that are to just enjoy power and might and force, and to try to be self-sustained and self-sufficient because of our fear of connectedness and because of the fear of lack of strength and lack of power. In reality, everything works exactly the opposite. The moment we acknowledge as human beings our vulnerability, that we are not in control of maybe 99% of our experience, yet through the empowerment that is inside of us, because in a sense we are a limitless being put into this existence and within a body that is giving us some type of limitation, and in a structure and a construct in reality that is also giving us additional limitations. And then because it's not only us that are human beings, but we are living in a constructed, civilized society of beings, we are put in much more additional constructs of limitations we call civilization. And because of this, we can often feel how much limitation is around us. And if we say, well, Alex, if I was mighty and if I was powerful and if I was able to break through all these type of limitations in reality, then I'm going to be a real human being. The problem is that it is actually the opposite. Paradoxically, the more we realize how vulnerable we are, how tender we are as human beings, how much we are dependent upon the construct, how much the external is determining our internal experience and existence, then we are going to be able to acknowledge that the so-called powerlessness of the experience is part of the experience, and paradoxically, the moment we surrender and the moment we let go and the moment we detach from all our urges and desires for the power, for the control, from this moment forward, we are entering the freedom of being powerless. We are not beings that are in necessity to possess power. If it was a necessity, it was going to be given to us. That's why if we enter into the competition of who has more power, Alex, how much power do you have? How much influence do you have in this reality? And let's compare you to Bill Gates, to this type of country, to this type of country, to this type of people, to this type of people. All of us will constantly feel that we are less superior, that we are actually inferior based by the power structures to almost everything. And then it's very easy for all of us to enter the mentality of powerless, subjugated type of beings that are constantly going to expect the mercy of the strong. But once we understand how to balance our vulnerability with the power and the weakness, and to understand that we can be weak as acknowledgement that it's not a necessity for us to possess power in order to be present powerfully and in order to move through this reality powerfully. If we go into the weakness that is corrupting and creating conditional force and power to the ones we are empowering, then this type of movement is going to create much more slavery and double standard societies where the powerful elites are like semi-gods, like semi-enlightened type of managemental and managerial system that are not only in control, but all the powers are with them. So we are to constantly agree with everything that this type of authority is trying to put over all of us. And it is very important, especially in this type of situation of vulnerability, where we are able to experience our social vulnerability, where we are able to experience our economical vulnerability, where we are able to experience our physical vulnerability. But once we understand where our power lies and why we don't need the external expression of power in the physical matter reality, but the only thing we need is to be connected to everything and to be in awareness that we are not in necessity of power, but we are in necessity of connection. Once we are plugged in and connected into the reality, from this moment forward, neither power, neither force can be stronger than a connected being. Because the governmental structures in which we are constantly having our experiences created in such a way that we are constantly to outsource all our essence and experience forward to the governmental and the structures of power. That's why we are constantly feeling powerless. But once we are starting to differentiate what is the reality experience and what is important in reality, then we can fundamentally position ourselves within the most powerful statement that all of us can do through our presence in reality. And this statement is our essence to be in connection with the essence of the Creator. The moment we enter this powerful connection, from this moment forward, all our appearance in the physical matter reality changes. From this moment forward, all the powerful structures in all the area of society starts to tumble before such a being that understands the power of the essence. Because all the humanly experienced power structures are connected with controlling the appearances. And the appearances in reality are not the important ingredient that is able to transcend this type of control structures. Because for me personally, once I realized that instead of trying to be in survival mode and trying to constantly protect or conquer in order to provide my specific power environment where I feel the power, I feel the protection, and I feel that I'm more secure than others, the moment I stop doing this and realize that actually the vulnerability is my biggest strength. Because once I understand that the physical matter reality limitations are, in a sense, encouraging me to recognize my vulnerability, and instead of continuing forward into trying to go into different appearances and trying to create this type of power structures as the elite is doing. Because if we go into this competition against the elite, we have already lost this battle. The battle for the resources is not possible to be played on a physical matter reality, individualized consciousness being. So the only thing I can do is to recognize that though there are so many limitations, so many power structures that are already in control of 99% of what I am experiencing and what I am going to experience, Nothing in reality is allowed to control the one most precious things of each of us, and this is the source of our existence, called the essence. Once we surrender from all of the appearances, once we surrender from the significance of what we are able to manifest, and understand that there is nothing in necessity for all of us to do, to perform, to present into this reality, but the only precious thing we have is the so-called essence. But Alex, please describe this essence of vulnerability for us, because we know that there is some dignity in us. We know that there is something precious in us, and we are trying to protect it, though we don't understand what exactly we are protecting, and we are trying to find our place into the physical matter reality in such a way that all these powers that are constantly micromanaging and controlling our reality are not able to quite penetrate into my specific reality. And on the other hand, this type of movement where it's encouraging people to sell their essence, to transact their essence for finite and temporary experience of appearance of something that looks like the absolutes, is also movement toward giving away the most precious. And the most precious for each of us is the essence and the spark. That's why once we realize that by entering the experience of this reality, instead of moving forward into an already lost battle for significance, for achievements, for success, in the appearances of reality, where everything is so much in control from the so-called elites. And once we realize that the most precious thing that we have is the essence, then we are entering a different game called the game of expression. What is important in this reality is not what we are going to achieve. It's not even what we are going to leave after us, but what was our present, and were we honest and authentic enough to be able to express our essence. All the fightings, all the movements, all the advertisements which are trying to take our attention, our focus, are interested in only one thing called our essence. Once we start to realize that there is a specific essence, uniqueness in each one of us, and this is the most precious thing that we are never to give away in exchange for anything temporary, then no one can touch us. No one can touch us physically, because physicality is only an appearance. Nobody can touch us financially, because the financial expressions of ourselves are not who we are. Once we realize where is the precious essence of humanity uniqueness, from this moment forward, the dignity of each one of us is going to be on a much different and higher level. And it doesn't matter how much there is a strife for power, how much there is a strife for control in the physical matter reality experience, and how much the influence is going to affect each one of us during 2023 or the years after. Nothing but ourselves are responsible for ruling our essence. Because in order my essence to be expressed, I don't need money, I don't need governments, I don't need social structure. The only thing I need is to dare to allow myself to express, nothing else. Yes, but Alex, we need to sustain these bodies. We need to go to work in order to have money, in order to have things, and so on and so on. And it's so easy for you because you already are rich and already you are in so many possessions, to such an extent that even the coming economic type of crisis and the different resets are maybe not going to affect you directly. So we better prepare, we better do everything possible to try to keep and protect what is not precious. My personal advice and my personal focus is towards what is lasting. My personal focus is towards what is really precious. And what is really precious, you cannot find it in the realm of appearance. In the realm of appearance, where all of us are fighting with each other and are in constant competition, who is more valuable in the outer appearances, is something that personally I'm not interested in, and I'm not willing to put my energy into. What I'm interested in is to see much more human beings to express themselves and to be okay to be vulnerable, but to be willing and daring to be who they uniquely are, and who and what is actually their destiny for real life expression into this reality. And for all of us, the more than 8 or 9 billion people, this is a different thing because of our personal and unique experiences that no one else into this reality has. And of course, do we have obligations for each other? Can we say that there is a much more higher common goods than only the individualized experience? For sure there is, but it is not found, and it is not going to be found in the realm of appearance. If you think about fear, fear is constantly working towards and forwards to all our appearances. You are going to be without your health. You are going to be without your body. You are going to stop existing. You are going to have no money. You are going to die poor. You are going to do this and this. All the fears are connected to everything that is part of the realm of the appearance. So once we know how to withdraw ourselves into the counterintuitive realm of vulnerability, where we know that we are so vulnerable, that anyhow we are in a state where the only thing we are and we can have and we can experience is the moment, is the presence, is the connectedness with everything. From this moment forward, everything else starts to turn. There is no possibility for fear that is able to destroy, because the essence of limitless being is not possible to be conquered with limitations that are part of the realm of the appearance. And that's why I see so many movements towards improvements of the appearances in so many areas of life, instead of all of us just supporting each other into more unique expressions. It doesn't matter everything else in the appearance. But Alex, aren't we to escape the suffering? Aren't we to escape the illnesses? Aren't we to escape the poverty? Aren't we to escape everything that is tormenting and bothering us? Aren't we to move away from all this negativity in society? Yes, to some extent, this is true, but this is not the primary. Because if we are not able to release our essence, everything else is secondary and thirdly, and we are going to move through this experience thinking that our appearances is who we are. And that's why it is stated, even in the Bible, that from everything that we are to keep into this reality, the most precious thing we are to keep is the heart. Because if you think about the heart is like the womb of creation. And once we are able, this creative essence, to keep it, in order to decide what type of seeds, what type of particularities, what type of dualities we are going to express, and to what extent, then we are entering much more different reality expressions than what is constantly propagated upon us to do. If I was right now to follow the common narrative, I was to withdraw my money from the banks, I was to convert everything into crypto and gold, I was to do so many preparations because the world's disasters are coming. And if we are not in this preparational type of modes, we are going to lose. But once we know our vulnerability, that we have already lost everything in reality in the realm of appearance, and that these are things that does not matter as much as the essence, from this moment forward, we are going to be much more aware where do we put our energy. Because if we put our energy into protecting, we are stating that we are not going to be in surrender mode, and that we are not going to disattach, and that we are not going to let go, but we are going to try to protect our precious wealth, our precious statuses, our precious everything. But if we go into this direction, it is going to be at the expense of our essence. And that's why my moving forward into the next years of different turbulences is to not go after the fears and after the turbulence in all type of expressions and appearances, but only to be focused on what really matters in this reality. And it is my connection with the divine and the expression of my essence. And this is why I'm so involved into this ruling reality experience. And I have positioned myself as a ruling reality coach because for me, the most important thing is when I work with people, not to change them, not to encourage them to become something else in the outer appearance of reality, but just to be positioned as an essence that is willing to express itself. So, thank you for watching this vulnerability message that is actually giving me so much strength when I realize that my power is not into control of the outer experience and the outer expressions. There are other beings that are trying to put their energy into it. My power is into ruling and expressing my essence and keeping my connectedness. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your realities, be encouraged, and have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.